How do I make it do that? There, Alyssa, you're on.
All right. A story.
So actually, while we're waiting for us to get ready to 6 months, the interesting thing about this book by Edgar Carrick, this one is a memoir, and this one he published directly in English. It was only translated to a number of other languages way before it got translated to Hebrew. So I haven't actually gotten it in Hebrew yet, but because of the content of some of the things he wrote, that's a hypothesis for why he chose to do it in English first, or even exclusively. And just like that memoirist, The Art of Leaving Ayelet Zabari, this Yemenite Israeli Jew, she currently lives in Canada, but she also chose to publish in English. So these aren't translations, these are actually direct visual.
So this story, as I was reading it,
Tell everyone the name of the story.
it's called My Lamented Sister by Edgar Carrick. The story kind of hit close to home because it's a brother-sister relationship, and kind of about how there's a rift in the relationship because of their differences. Much so like my brother and I right now. So there is a lot of personal connections I could sort of make to this story as I was reading it, so I'm even more happy that I chose it. So anyway, the story is about a brother and sister, and I'm guessing this is a memoir,
Yes.
so it's about Edgar Carrick and his relationship with his sister. And it doesn't say this in the story, but I'm going to guess that he is an atheist because he says, "I have no God." So he's saying he doesn't. So I'm in my section of this, like, I don't know if he's an atheist, how he actually defines himself, but this is kind of a thought that I have because he says, "I have no God." He literally just quote from there. So he obviously. But that doesn't mean he doesn't necessarily doesn't believe in God. So I'm not really 100% sure where his beliefs currently are. But anyway, so his sister, as he says multiple times throughout the story, my sister died 19 years ago. Now she didn't actually die. She's very much still alive. But in his heart, in his mind, she is not the same person he grew up with. She has changed very much so to the point where to him, she basically the sister he knew no longer exists. So in essence, she is dead to him. Which is a very sad way to think about this. But this is also because she decided to join the Orthodox world. So there's that right there. So she decides to become to go join the Orthodox world and go to go study. And he spends his first Shabbat with her family, and he wants to be very respectful, even though doesn't necessarily agree with the Orthodox world. He and his sister, they were very close growing up. And he always missed her when she was in the army, when she went away to study at school. Like he always missed her, always wanted to see her. They had that connection. But every time he'd see her at this point in their life, he noticed that she was changing more and more each time he saw her. So basically becoming more and more Orthodox, and leaving her other ways behind her. And he felt like he was getting brainwashed throughout this process, and he feels that she was getting brainwashed by going to studying where she studied, but that's neither here nor there. And and he has a cousin Eli who like confirms it. This is what happens when they do this. They get brainwashed, and they. So she lives a typical Orthodox life, very modest life, has She got married to a yeshiva student, a good-looking yeshiva student. He assumed that in his mind, all yeshiva students were atypical, overweight, like frumpy, you know, but he's actually a very good guy. They had many kids, and they all have their double-barrel names. And Mental, you know, like a double name, like some hyphenated or something like that. He always had trouble remembering all their names, and it was like a game to the kids whenever he did come and visit, like, ooh, what's my name? Do you remember my name? Because there are so many, and they had so many, multiple, the double barrel name. And all the kids to him and all the children, they all kind of looked the same. They all had white shirt, black pants, pay up, you know, like there's like the typical Orthodox child, we should say. Stereotypical or not, so when they get together, she loves hearing about his life and that he's happy, and he's an author and like he's written these stories and he writes it, but she's like, she'll never read them. She'll never read his work because they're too like secular. Thank you. However, he did write one children's story, and he had an illustrator specifically make one version of this children's story with using children wearing kippot, with women dressed modestly and stuff like that, in hopes that she would read the story. And she still rejected it. She still wouldn't read it. And this crushed him. You know, but you know, she doesn't fully accept him because he doesn't keep Shabbat. He's not kosher. You know, he doesn't live the same like she does. So for her, it's not good enough. For him, it's like, what can I do to keep a relationship alive? You know, he's trying so hard, but I don't think she's so stubborn in her ways, but in her way she is. So, you know, and then when he finally found a wife or a woman he fell in love with, you know, his sister was happy for him. She was happy, he's happy, but she was not allowed to go with him to visit the house because she's not Jewish. Or I don't think it's specified, but she's definitely obviously not Orthodox Jew, so not enough to her standards. So she was not allowed, I think, to go with him to go visit. You know, and he feels that as much as he loved her, their feeling wasn't reciprocated. He didn't feel as loved by her as he was trying to show her, and it was not the way he wanted her to be. Like he was, you know, it was crushing. It crushed him. And this is why he every few paragraphs would say, 19 years ago, in a small wedding hall of Neighbor, my older sister died. 19 years ago, in a small wedding hall in Neighbor, my older sister died. He says it multiple times throughout this. 19 years ago, again, in a small wedding hall in Neighbor, my older sister died. That was his like theme kind of the story. And I believe he called it my lamented sister because, as he told me, he means mourning. He's mourning her death. Not her actual death, but the death of his sister he was and is not now. So, you know, he just doesn't know who she is anymore. Clearly she doesn't know who he is anymore either, but he still found happiness. He loves, you know, he's doing his thing. He read his stories, you know, he's doing great. But yeah, his sister making the leap from being a secular Jew to an Orthodox Jew, it destroyed their relationship. Unfortunately, even though he's tried on many occasions, it's been more, I guess, on her side that's been rejecting him, which is unfortunate. So that's really a story gist, I guess. There's something more.
Just to clarify, yeah, so his sister died and that who she was before died, but he still is continuing some semblance of an actual relationship.
He's-
He's her, but
Yes.
he didn't, I mean, they're not like estranged from each other. It's just that who he knew him as a sister as well.
Exactly. So, I mean, the story is clearly about the cultural differences between secular and Orthodox Jews and the way of living. I mean, we see it all the time. I mean, we talked about it earlier today, and the Haredi boys like coming to the B'nai Mitzvot saying, "You're not Jewish," and I've heard it myself, like being said to reform conservative Jews, you're not Jews, you're not Jewish, and they live two very, very different lives. And my question is, how can these two very different lives coexist? And it's obviously it's a question that we're still trying to figure out because it's still not happening in a way. I mean, like to some extent, people have made their leaps, but for the most part, if you're a secular Jew, if you're an Orthodox Jew, it's like stay on your side, stay on your side. So,
Comments, questions?
It's a really good story, actually. I read it a couple times. It's really good. It was very different from his other writings, obviously, because this was personal, it's a memoir, it's true. Initially, I was reading it, I'm like, okay, where's the underlying, like, what am I looking for in this? But thank you for telling me not to read it like that, because otherwise I was just gonna pull my hair up. So it's easy to understand. It's very easy to understand.
Wow.
Yeah, it's very,
Like
like,
Edgar Garrett.
very
These are
esoteric.
very easy to understand.
Well,
That's what the book looks like.
Very
Very easy to understand. Point of clarification, the girlfriend wasn't, she was Jewish. That wasn't the issue, and she eventually becomes his wife. But they were living together for 9 years.
9 years.
So every time during those 9 years until the 10th year they get married
Thank you,
finally,
yes.
she can't go to visit because how will they explain it to their 11 children that,
We're living together, but we're not married.
yeah.
Yes, thank you.
No problem. And she also, part of the problem when he tries to specially get this version of the children's book created just for her household to be just right for them, she goes to her rabbi. So that's kind of a thing in Israel for ultra Orthodox people. They go and they check things. Is it kosher enough? Is it good enough? And so she'd go to a rabbi and the rabbi was, no, not kosher enough. So what he did as much as he thought he could possibly do to make this acceptable, and are we one family?
Yeah.
Oh, thank you. Sorry, I wasn't looking.
Tell him that we're recording.
Yeah, I think it'll tell him when he comes in, but it'll tell him for sure. Maishapad, Indy.
So he doesn't ever want to give up the
No,
relationship
no.
because he really
Wait, hi.
loves her and had a great.
Can you hear us?
I can hear you. Can you hear
Hi,
me?
welcome. Okay,
Thank
we're
you.
just wrapping up Alyssa's presentation of the Edgar Carrot story.
Oh, I missed it.
And we've been recording the Zoom.
Oh, fun.
Yeah, so you'll be able to.
Amazing. Great. Thank you.
Yeah, I'm gonna have to remember to
It
post
was a
that.
really cool story because it's very relatable on so many levels. I mean, my brother, has nothing to do with religion. We don't talk and whatnot. It's completely different, but we live completely like we were once best friends, my brother and I, and now I haven't spoken to him in 14 years.
Huh.
It's painful.
Yeah,
Mm.
since my father passed, I have not spoken to him.
Wow.
And it's a personal choice. He hasn't reached out to me either. He and my mother have reconnected recently. But I have my reasons. I'm sure he has his.
Painful.
It's very painful because again, he was my best friend growing up. There are many times I just want to pick up the phone and like, I don't even have his number. I can't even tell him what I'm doing right now.
Mm.
Thankfully, my mother does, so he knows that I'm in school and doing this, but not for me. So that's why this did hit close to home. The story. So, any other questions? Is there?
I mean, I think it's a great story, and I think you did a great job sharing the points of conflict and interest. I'm wondering, as a story, and we've talked a lot during the week about the religious, non-religious divide And I'm wondering, not necessarily for your little kids, but for the older kids, could you see using this? Would it be a useful illustration or an opening for that conversation?
Possibly with my high schoolers, I think I
Yeah.
would, I don't know if my, like, definitely not like the second, like maybe the sixth and seventh graders, but I think my eighth graders,
Eighth and up.
could probably, this is something I could do with them this year, you know, and talk to them about the whole secular versus orthodox, way of life and what it means and how different it is and how it forms these rifts in Jewish relationships.
Yeah.
And not just personal relationships, just in general.
Mhm.
I mean, it's a very us versus them type of feeling.
Yeah.
You know, like, I mean, as you know, like the Haredi don't accept us as Jews. You know, I think of myself as a super Jew. So, you know, I used to have the super Jew t-shirt that I used to wear proudly. You know, so it's, you know, I think it would be a very interesting conversation for the kids today.
You know, that concept of people would say they were sitting Shiva over a kid who intermarried. So speaking of contemporary issues, where over 50% of Jewish marriages today are Jews are intermarrying, that whole idea of like lamented, like sitting Shiva over, and this is in the reverse direction, a different kind of different than what I live and how I see my life and my worldview is becoming more religious, as if her sister went over to the dark side. In just
The coerce is not strong.
yeah. So that those kind of rifts happen in families and they happen among peoples. And while there were religious Zionists at that first Zionist Congress that Herzl convened in Switzerland, different factions have become more extreme today. And you see that in the Knesset.
And just to note the story he wrote, that he had his illustrator change for his family, he dedicated that to his nephew. And it's,
Did he have the name right?
yes, he had the right name. You know, he obviously messed up their names.
In
but
slow
he got the right
motion.
one. Who knows? But even that was not enough for his sister to even look at it.
So it's how do we reach out to those who we don't share a set of beliefs
How
with
do we
in a way
coexist?
to coexist and better, and to really live together and find some way to live fruitfully together.
It's very hard. It's a shame that we can't do it. So I think we could all learn a lot from each other. That's My Lamented Sister by Edgar.
Thank
Thank you so much.
Thank you. All right, so we're gonna wait for tomorrow for Jen to do her art piece. David, you got the rework schedule, right?
Yep. Thank you.
And we've adjusted a little bit since then even. So what we're going to do now, we have 20 minutes. Okay, I think what I'm gonna do, for 10 minutes, I'm just gonna tell you what we're gonna do after the webinar, and it's gonna link a little bit to what we did before the webinar. And David, before the webinar, before lunch, we looked at the art slides that are on Schoology now in a folder. Okay. On Schoology, where you saw that yellow folder for the art slide, above it, I think, is a red folder that it has all kinds of curricular examples. What we're going to do after the webinar is you're each going to do a deep dive into some curricular material, and it can be any of the things that are linked there. Susie and I are going to pull up some of the stuff that's sitting on the floor here. It could be any of these pieces that we have here, or it can be any of the activities we have been doing. Okay, so it could be the postcards activity. It could be the museum gallery walk activity. It could be choosing a literature piece. It could be choosing a current events piece. What else am I missing? What else have we done? It could be doing the Chronophibin
activities. So so those things, are things that we've actually done. You don't have a piece of paper or a book that tells you what it is. You just experience it yourself, right? So you'll see, I'm gonna hand this out. And David, this is on Schoology, okay? And yeah, you'll be able to do it because are you with us the rest of the afternoon or?
No.
Okay, never mind. You'll do it afterwards. Okay, let me hand this out. And this notes maybe beginning on this page. As you do this activity, this curriculum investigation, and I'll pull out some of the music things there too. What you're gonna do, and we're gonna have like a good chunk of time, and if you want to, if you're doing one of the physical things, you can take it home with you tonight. You can't take it home to teach or two. Please, unless you're willing to mail it back and leave me what do you call it? What's a picadon? A picadon. A deposit. A deposit. Leave me, yeah. Yeah. So if you leave me some sort of, that's not a collateral.
Sorry.
If you leave me some collateral, you can take a word for it. Oh, I see. Oh, yeah.
Seriously, any of these
Yeah.
precious, any of the things.
Okay, all right, we'll talk about that. All right, you're going to look at the material or review for yourself the activity, if you're gonna do one of the things that we've done, with these four, five questions in mind. So it's very similar to what we've been doing all week, because when you've done the current events or you've done the arts thing, we asked you, like, what's the core idea? Like, of course, we framed it as, I'm sorry if my back's to you, David, I just realized that. Sorry.
Good. All good.
We framed it as eris medina. You can use that framework, or you can use the framework we used with the readings of cultural Zionism, political Zionism. You can use it as the pivot thing, as the core idea. What's the thing? How is Israel being portrayed in this material? Okay, what's the student going to learn? Like, what's the core thing? Are they learning about the geography of Israel? Are they learning about the people of Israel? Are they learning about the biblical connections to Israel, et cetera, et cetera, et cetera? So that's the core idea thing. Then look at these 4 questions. I hopefully subject matter, learner, teacher, milieu. Does that sound familiar to anybody?
Yes.
Okay, so those are your 4 windows into looking through this. So what assumptions does it make about the subject matter? So as you know, like what we've been doing all week is we know that we, Susie and I, know what we've provided you with since the beginning of June, but we also know, like, there's a wealth of knowledge out there that we don't know what we know, and as we have conversations, things arise. So we may be making an assumption about the subject matter that you know what Karaites are, let's say. But okay, so what assumptions are being made about the subject matter? What assumptions does the curriculum make about the learner? Has the learner, does it think the learner has any prior knowledge about Israel, has ever been to Israel, knows what the Bible is, et cetera, knows what a map of Israel looks like? What's the assumption about the teacher? And I know we talked somewhat about that. Like Alyssa said it earlier this morning, how can she get, she wants to do this kind of work in the preschool, and but you have these teachers you got to deal with, right? And last but not least is the environment, and that we've also touched on. What's the political environment in which your school or setting exists? Are they radically left wing? Are they radically right wing? Are people feeling that Israel has a right to exist? Israel doesn't have a right, et cetera, et cetera, et cetera. So this is the framework that you're going to use as you do this investigation. So what I suggested on Schoology, and I'm sitting out with a piece of paper too, while you do the work sitting here right now, you're welcome, of course, to just make notes on a piece of paper. If you want, what I would always suggest is open this up as a Word document on your computer. I don't know if I can put it there or if you can just
Tell us where we're gonna find this.
Yes, okay. Sorry, hold on. Let me open it up. And David, do you need me to show you? Should I do it on the computer you're on so I can share screen, or are you finding it?
You're fine. I can find it. Yeah.
Okay, because once I find it, I'll tell you what color the folder is and all that kind of good stuff. Hold
It's green, it says unit 8 materials curriculum.
Right.
Yeah, and I didn't
get rid, I'm gonna fix that, get rid
Yeah,
of
I-
those dates.
Yeah, thank you.
Yes.
Thank you. Yeah, I kept meaning to do that. Yes, okay, so that was it's under. Wait, hold on a second. I think that was, no, don't look at that. It's inside, yeah, I tried to Susie, if you could unpublish that, I was having trouble unpublishing.
Okay,
Look inside the Zionist ideas yesterday and today in person, in that pink folder.
Mm-hmm.
Go into the thing that says curriculum investigation, which is the pink folder.
Got it.
So there's a big folder that's pink that says Zionist ideas yesterday and today in person.
Yep. Got it.
In the materials, in the course materials.
Mhm.
It's the folder we've been in all week.
Yep.
You found it, Sherry?
Okay, yeah.
Okay, then inside there, there's curriculum investigation.
It's not
but
Mhm.
it's
Okay,
not
hold on.
there.
There's primary sources, enrichment, and matching tuition state, investigations there.
No, look
Oh,
into.
whoa.
Not
No, when you open
Sure.
curriculum investigation, you just see review of
Okay.
reading.
So,
Do you
okay,
want,
so
do you want me to
that's-
share my screen and show you what I'm seeing?
Hold on, no, I'm gonna show everybody. Thank you, David.
Thank you, but you know what's either
Hold on, I'm gonna show you. So the first thing, everyone should be, this, review of our readings, it was a pink. So first, yeah, you have it, David, right? Review of our readings, and this has,
the chart?
it has the chart.
Okay.
And so that's from the stuff we worked on Monday.
Yes.
Yes, you're
Okay.
there.
And,
And then it has,
Too late.
one is to the big article that I took, that we looked at the other day.
okay,
And there's also a link to this, which I'm gonna give you. tomorrow.
Curriculum.
Yes.
Yeah. Okay, so,
this is by Jan Katsu?
okay, so it is from the Eye Center, you
Yeah.
can tell from the fonts and
Yeah.
everything. You're not gonna have time to read this today unless you want to spend, I don't, it's only 2 pages, but, take this home and obviously it's in Schoology. When you go to do your final project, I want you to read this carefully. Okay, this is all in the way of scaffolding you and support. I'm sorry, David, that my back's to you. I feel terrible about that. By scaffolding you to be ready to do your final project. So read Jan's article. Okay, so you're right, never
But
mind.
that's not where we're
I
finding
know,
this.
right. So now, if you unpublish or you.
I can.
Yeah, unpublish that, because I did, yes. Okay, now go, and this is where I was futzing around with it this morning. It's not successful.
In our vast flexibility.
Okay. Okay. Go to.
Okay, now
I
that's
think,
published.
did you rename it, Susie? or it's still
No, I
named?
just unpublished.
Okay, so hold on, let me see.
I unpublished.
So now it's outside of, you publish it, please.
Review of readings, you want me to go?
No, materials and curriculum positional, which is.
1 second.
Okay.
1
Okay,
second.
all right, now I'm confused, it should be, where it says unit 8 and it shouldn't see.
No, that's the one you told me to unpublish.
Yeah, so I'm telling you to publish it, yeah, because I made a mistake.
You got it,
Okay,
published.
okay, so if you guys refresh, you'll find it. Okay, so actually.
So unit 8.
Yeah,
What said you, what was unit 8?
okay, but I'm deleting something right now, so that thing, okay, hold on. All right, hold on, so in that, what says unit 8, we'll change the name of it momentarily. Okay, it says curricular investigation discussion. That should be, that's what we're working on now. Okay,
Now it'll.
David, do you see that?
Yeah,
It's-
I'm in it. It's got 4 sublinks. Yeah, I'm in it.
It's got about
It
7,000.
should be many something. There should be many, many links.
Give me a second then. Curricular investigation discussion board. Yeah, I see it now. Yep,
Okay.
yep.
Okay, so that's where these so you see it says guiding questions in the middle, in the black, toward the end.
Yes.
If you want to make a Word document to be able to type on this, list those questions and make a Word document while we're doing this work now. Because it might be easier to do it that way than to like take handwritten notes and then have to post it in the discussion. But I do want everyone, obviously including David, to just post in the discussion board, because
Yes.
in a week from now or 2 weeks from now, we'll have all that information about which about 5 different choices that people have made. Does everyone understand what I'm saying? Because Sherry may choose Israel's story and maps, and Alyssa may choose to do the Edgar Carrot story, and Sydney may choose to do the Comic Pivot. So we'll have these robust analyses of those different, 5 different curriculum possibilities. Am I making sense?
Is this our final project?
No.
So this is just an assignment that's due next week.
Right, but it's due right, whatever we do
right there,
now,
this
whatever we're
afternoon.
gonna work out this afternoon. So for David, it's due next week. For you, whatever you get to this afternoon is what you're gonna finish. Okay.
Also, put on the what specifically we're doing though.
I am, so,
Didn't get there yet.
yeah, now that we know where the materials all sit, I'm gonna tell you, so you see, there's however many here, there's like, 40 or whatever choices of links, not 40, but
17.
thank you. But somewhere between 10 and 40.
It just says view attachments.
Yeah. Okay, so these are, and I will share with you, I was just doing this earlier this morning, so I haven't checked every single link. So it's possible that some of these links aren't aren't connected to things anymore, but we'll get there. If there's something that you choose that isn't linked, we'll figure it out. We'll figure it out. Okay, so what you're gonna do after this is all, so it's now, I'm gonna give you a break before we click on to,
Which is 2 o'clock sharp.
joining the book discussion. Okay, after the book discussion, we're gonna really work on this. And David, of course, you'll do it, and yours is due next week, whatever that Monday night.
Got it.
Okay, and between now and the time that we're done with Robbie Greengrass and Abby Davos Stern, Susie and I will put more stuff out, and we'll help after we're done with that webinar. We'll have more conversation about how you will do the work. Okay, but the work itself, what's due, is just going to be whatever we do in that last hour of today. Make sense? Okay. All right, and then I'll say later after that how it connects to the final project. So I take a break because we're going to get onto some webinar. We're each going to log on ourselves, right? Right. So David, should I hang you up now?
Come to, I understand what's going on, so thank you.
All right, are you going to be able to join? Are you going to join us for Robbie Greengrass?
I'm gonna join as much as I can, yeah.
Okay, fabulous. Okay, so we'll see you there.
Good, see you.
Okay, see you later. Bye.
Bye.